Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem El Shai Bashem Rakakwadash, and Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. Anyway, I'm going to entitle this video, The Scholars Know That Isaiah chapter 14, and I'm just going to deal with the two verses. I may jump around, but I'm focusing on the two verses. First and the second verse, they know that it's not talking about the old Babylon. Or I may change that up, or I might say they know that it's talking about the daughter of Babylon, which is America. Anyway, I did a video yesterday featuring it was a response video that a Christian put up, Christian apologist put up, featuring Pastor Mike. He works with Vocab and other Christians. He led a blitz on Detroit IUIC. A school went up to the school and they said they closed and they didn't believe it. Mike didn't believe it. And they finally caught up with them and they were going back and forth. And anyway, he did a debate with Captain Tazariak at ISUPK. And he went into 2 Chronicles chapter 6. He could have gone to 2 Kings chapter 8. It says the same thing, dealing with the strangers or the foreigners or the the word was foreigners. I believe that was the word, which is strangers. And he said that, look, this kingdom is open up to other nations, and ultimately they are open up to the kingdom, but the only part they're going to be open up to is playing the part of slaves under us and knowing the laws. So they're going to know the laws and statutes of the Most High because we're going to teach them. So anyway, he was wrong, even though the word in the Hebrew is nakar instead of gar. Gar, when you come across the word stranger in the Old Testament, go back to the Hebrew, and I believe it's H1616. Gar means an Israelite that was born outside the land. They want to eventually kind of come back into the land. And nakar normally means of another nation, but it's a blanket term for other nations and Israelites, because Moses named his first son Gershom, which goes back to he would be considered a nakar, which is Hebrew. Matter of fact, you know what I'm gonna do? Let me do this. Let me go 2 Kings. I'm sorry, 2 Chronicles 6. Okay, I'm going to go right to the word stranger. This is the only argument that a Christian has left when they come against us. And we're telling you that the word stranger here is referring to Israelites. So it says, moreover, concerning the stranger, which is not of thy people Israel, but is come from a far country. So you look at it and you say, yeah, well, this is talking about another nation. It's actually talking about an Israelite. Perfect example is Cornelius. Cornelius, they didn't even look at him. They call him a heathen, a stranger, other nation. but he was actually an Israelite. That's why the Most High had this, give him this vision of the unclean animals, and he was told to rise and eat, and he said, "I'm not going to eat that. That's unlawful," and not so many words. And the sheet was brought back up. So it had nothing to do, like Christians, they'll say, well, that means you can eat anything. No, it doesn't mean that. If you read down, Peter thought on what this vision meant. It was a vision, so it meant something. The Lord wasn't trying to make him eat unclean animals. He was trying to get them ready for Israelites that's going to be like unclean animals. They're going to have bald heads. They're going to have tattoos. They're going to have tribal marks. They're not going to be circumcised. They're going to eat unclean foods. They're not keeping the Sabbath. They may not have beards on their faces as a man. They're not wearing the clothes of an Israelite. They're not keeping the Sabbath, any of the high holy days. So other Israelites refer to them, though, those are strange. Those are heathens. So anyway, so when you look the word up, this is the last argument that a Christian has. Once he loses this argument, he has no more argument. The word is nakar ya, or the root word is nakar, which means someone an outlander. Now the reason why I did that, because I wanted to deal with, let me go to Isaiah 14. And we come back to the commentary. Isaiah 14:1. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob. Jacob represents Israel. It also represents Judah. And certain times when you come across the word Jacob, it represents Judah, but it represents the whole nation. For Yahweh shall have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel. Israel represents Judah, Benjamin, Levi, the rest of the tribes, but it also represents the kingdom of Israel. You got the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel. It says, for Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel, meaning he's going to have mercy on all of the tribes, the two kingdoms coming back together, and set them in their own land. And the strangers, these are Israelites, shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Now, the seven used to teach that the strangers were other nations, that they're going to try to cling like the so-called Jews and the Christians. No, this is talking about Israelites. When we go out there on the highways and the byways and you get a brother that watched the videos or a sister, then they come to the realization that they're Israelites and they might join the camp and they might become readers and teachers and so forth. See, 2 Chronicles 6, you have to do a lot of explaining. Here, you don't have to do too much explaining. The word there is Gar. Gar is referring to Israelites outside of, as opposed to a Nakar or Nakarya. Sojourner, alien, sojourner. Of foreigners in Israel, though conceded rights. So you lose, when you leave the land and you say, I'm going to live in another land, you lose that patch of land. And if your great-great-great-great-grand son says, oh, I want to come back and live in the land, you find his name on the registry and you say, well, this was your land, you can take it. Or if somebody's there, you can say, okay, this is your land. But it's going to be in whatever tribe you're from. They're going to go, if you're from the tribe of Gad, they're going to find the land of Gad, wherever Gad was, and they're going to take a plot, and they said, this is your plot. It says a temporary inhabitant. Now that's in the case of the Passover the 3 times in a year, Deuteronomy 16:16, a newcomer lacking inherited rights, meaning the Israelite lacking that have no land that they can call their own. So therefore they say, okay, you want to live here now? What tribe are you from? The tribe of Judah, because we're going to give you this plot of land and where Judah is. That's what it means. So now let's come back over here to the commentary. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel, meaning he's going to save Israel. Now Christians, Vocab and Abu Kamar and certain other Christians, they'll say, oh, well, that's talking about, actually in the second verse, oh, that's talking about when Israelites or the Judah came out of the captivity of the Babylonians. Well, you can't put them into slavery because Babylon was taken over and became captives of ultimately the Medo-Persian Empire, and we became subjects to the Medo-Persian Empire. So how can you be in slavery and have your own slaves? So we know that Isaiah chapter 14 has nothing to do with ancient Babylon, pagan Babylon, Neo-Babylon. It says, and set them in their own land. That's something that's getting ready to happen. And the strangers, the Israelites that don't know that the Israelites, Cornelius, coming into the fold, shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, which the Israelites. Cleave mean what? They're not going to let go. That which are the elect. So now let's go to the commentary. Let's see what the commentary says. Let me read the pulpit. Okay, it says verses 1 to 23, the restoration of Israel and her song of triumph over Babylon. And this is talking about this Babylon. The destruction of Babylon. Babylon was not destroyed. The kings and the king's lords were surgically taken out, and the kingdom was preserved, and all the Medes did was make it a province of ultimately the Persians and the Medes. Is to be followed by the restoration of Israel with the goodwill of the nations, and by their exercise and rule over the late oppressors, right, which is the Babylonians. In this time of rest and refreshment, they will sing a song triumph over Babylon. That's Jeremiah, either Jeremiah 50 or Jeremiah 51. It says when Babylon goes down, we're going to sing. It says the song extends from verse 4 to verse 23. It consists of 5 stanzas. So I'm not going to go all into this. But anyway, let's come to the let's go to this one. Ellicotts. It says, the strangers shall be joined with them. The thought is one specially characteristic of the latter prophecies of Isaiah. But is prominent in the earlier also, which is Isaiah 2:2. We should know what that is. And it shall come to pass in that day that the mountain of the Lord house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. Now that's talking about Israel coming together, then the other nations flowing into it, because they're going to have to learn the laws. But you can't use that verse here, because the word for stranger in Isaiah 14:1 is God. God is referring to Israelites outside of the land. In latter Hebrew, the same words came to apply to the proselytes. What's a proselyte? A proselyte is someone that newly come into the faith. You might have been a Baptist, you watch the videos, you ask certain questions, you come out to a camp, and you come to the realization that you're an Israelite. That's a proselyte. So now you got to learn. And you learn and you learn and you learn, and eventually you may become a teacher who are conspicuous in the apologetic age. Acts 2 and 10. Right, that's all the Israelites coming from Egypt, from Greece, from Pamphylia, from Rome for the Passover. And the Passover, Feast of Weeks, and Tabernacles, Acts 6 and 5. Okay, that was the the Grecian, the Grecian wives or widows that were Israelites, but Judah, or the kingdom of Judah, they were in the land, and these were people that were not born, but they knew that they were Israelites, like the Israelites of Alexandria. If they wanted to come and stay in the land, you're gonna have people looking at them funny because they're really not Israelites, even though they're Israelites. In Jamaica, I know this for a fact. Many so-called Jamaicans told me that when you are born in Jamaica, you go to the Americas, you're in the Americas for 20 years, you come back, you know what they call you? They call you a foreigner. They may call you a Yankee boy or a foreigner, which means a stranger. Because you really wasn't even, you were born here, but you haven't lived here. You got some Jamaicans, West Indians, that'll work, they'll save up their money. They might have a successful business, then they'll go down to Jamaica and build a mansion and live there because it's a lot cheaper than building a mansion in the States. And in them, as before, in the adhesion and support of the Persians, kings, and satraps, and as afterwards in the admission of the Gentiles into the kingdom of the Gentiles are the Israelites. We may trace successive fulfillment of the prophet's words. Cambridge, the immediate result of the judgment on Babylon, which we know to be this, which is yet to happen. It's months. We're counting down to the last months, not even years. Will be the emancipation of Israel from captivity. So they must know that it's not talking about Neo-Babylon. Because when you read the rest of Isaiah and Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 51, and other scriptures, Isaiah 47, they know that there's another Babylon. Because fire didn't come upon Neo-Babylon. So when you're dealing with these Christians out here, they don't understand these scriptures. They don't go. The average Christian, they don't understand etymology. They don't understand. They might say, yeah, the Old Testament is written in Hebrew, the New Testament is written in Greek. So you might say, well, the Old and New Testament being rewritten in English, can there be a loss in translation? And they would have to say yes. Like you might go to John 3:16. They always go to that because they're not deep. They don't understand that there's more than one meaning for the word world in the New Testament. That's why you need vocab and these guys to teach Christians to deal with the Israelites. But when they come and deal with us, they get their asses kicked, spiritually, of course. It says, will yet choose Israel, meaning national Israel. Rather, will again choose as formerly in Egypt. So now we know it's talking about Israelites. Zechariah 2 verse 12. And the Lord shall inherit Judah, his portion in the Holy Land, and shall choose Jerusalem again. But it's talking about all of Israel. Israel's not talking about Judah, but Judah is a part of Israel. The strangers, the sojourner, or protected guests. You think we're going to protect Edomites if they come into our land? Or Moabites or other nations? It's talking about Israelites born outside the land that's coming into the land for going back to Deuteronomy 16 and 16. Certain high holy days, 3 high holy days. And they might say, I'm going to stay here. I want to stay here now. They're going to have to find, what tribe are you? I'm from the tribe of Gad. Go to the land, wherever Gad is, the land of Gad, you get a plot of land. That's what it's talking about. As a matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go into that. I'm going to give you that precept. I'm going to give you the precept. Ezekiel 47 verse 22. And it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you and to the strangers. Now that's not talking about any old nation, because that means any nation come and say, I want to plot the land. You got to get, they'll push you out. That's not talking about that. The strangers are Israelites born outside of their land. There it is, H 16 and 16, which is Gar. That sojourn among you, which shall beget children among you. They're Israelites. They're not other nations. Ain't no other nation gonna come in there and just have kids in your land. And they shall be unto you as born in the country among the children of Israel, because they are Israelites. They were just not born in the land of Israel. They shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. Why I say tribes of Israel? Because you got to find out what tribe they're from. If they're from the tribe of Gad, you don't give them a plot of land in where Judah's land is. And that's how it's going to be in the kingdom. 23rd verse. And it shall come to pass that in what tribe? What is it talking about? It's talking about tribe of Israel. The stranger sojourneth. Is he the tribe of Judah? Is he the tribe of Gad? Is he the tribe of Manasseh? Is he the tribe of Ephraim? There shall ye give him his inheritance, saith Yahweh. Because you got to find out his tribe, and then you go to the land of that tribe and you give him a plot of that land. See, that's why you really can't, it's a waste of time dealing with these Christians, because they don't know how to go deep. The only ones that can go deep are individuals, and even Vocab Malone, he's not deep. There's nothing deep about that guy. Even though he understands the Greek word this and the Hebrew word that, he's really not deep. Because if I explain this to him, he'll say, no, that's not talking about that. He teaches that Israel, the national Israel, is really talking about the Christians. under a term called replacement theology, or also known as supersessionism. So this is why we don't want to debate these Christians, because they don't. We go over their head. Really, you're out of your league unless you get the super top elite Christians. Then we can deal. But they still don't understand it, because they're not going to admit that when it speaks about Babylon in Isaiah 14, they're not going to admit that that's talking about another Babylon outside of Neo-Babylon. But when you read the whole chapter, when you read Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah, I'm not even dealing with the New Testament, I'm dealing with the Old Testament, and just a few prophecies. Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 51. It damn sure ain't talking, it's not describing what happened to Neo-Babylon. But they'll still tell you, oh, that's talking about Babylon. Neo-Babylon, ancient Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, because they don't know. That's why Cambridge Bible for school and colleges, they didn't say too much, because they must know nothing, or know something, or they must not know. So now let's go to the controversial verse. So if you can make them understand, if they admit, yes, that's not talking about Neo-Babylon, it's talking about another Babylon, then you got it. Okay, good. So when did it happen in history? Well, we have no records on that. Okay, if you don't have any record of a second Babylon being taken down and described in Isaiah 14, Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 51. I'm just using those scriptures. I can use many other scriptures pertaining to Babylon. I'm not even dealing with the New Testament revelation. So they would have to admit that that's not talking about Neo-Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar Babylon. And there's no record of any other Babylon, being destroyed that way. So you got to narrow it down. Was it China? Is it Jerusalem? Is it Russia? Is it South America? Is it England? And then eventually you got to narrow it down to America. And they see it. A lot of them see it, but they don't want to see it. They're not going to say, oh yeah, that's got to be America. But a lot of them do know it, do know that it is America. Isaiah 14:2, and I'm going to close after this. It says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel, because Jacob and Israel is going to come together. So now it's the house of Israel, the two kingdoms coming together, shall possess. What does it mean? What does it mean to possess? That means you have something in your clutches, in your midst. Possess them in the land of the Lord. The land of the Lord, Yahweh, the land of Yahweh is the whole earth. Length of 9 cords, Isaiah 54. For what? For servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So the scholars agree that that's not talking about ancient Babylon, because we never enslaved the ancient Babylonians, because we went into slavery again along with the Babylonians under the Persians and the Medes. So what is it talking about? Now I want to come over here to come back to Isaiah. Isaiah 14. And then I'm going to close it. You can say this is back to the basics. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place in the house of Israel. The Israelites shall possess them, the other nations, starting with Esau, in the land of the Lord, Yahweh, for servants and handmaids, and they shall rule, and they shall take them captive, whose captive they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Let's pull out some words, and then I'm going to close. So let's look up the word servant. It means, in plain English, slave. Slave. Manservant. Bondservant. Bondman. Handmaids. Let's see what the word handmaids mean. And I said we're going to have concubines in the kingdom. Slave girl. So who does this apply to? All the nations that are not of Israel. Who's number one on the list? The Edomites. Are the Edomites here today? You damn right. Benjamin Netanyahu said that. He said we must destroy the Amalekites, which are Edomites. Let's deal with the word captives. To take captive, captive, to lead captive, to be taken captive. Carry, take away, captive, take, drive away, take. And the word there is shabah. And we are still captives to this very day. Anyway, I wanted to cover that. Like I said, I'm singing to the choir, back to the basics. Shalom.